things. Oh, there we go. Hey everyone, Stacy Casson here. For those of you who can't see me, I'm a very tan woman with short, wavy, salt and pepper hair. I have in a yellow flower in my hair. I'm wearing clear glasses, and I have on a black tank top that says love. Thank you all for joining today. I can't believe we are on day 20 of Ask Me Almost Anything. So we're going to get started by taking a deep breath and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. And before we start, everybody do a big stretch because I've been sitting all day. All right, I don't see any questions yet in the chat, so we'll go ahead and look at the Pokemon card of the day. And, we're just continuing on with team fighting. And funny enough, I drew the fighting cards for my patrons today on Patreon. So this is a orange card with an orange glowing sphere and a comet and a black fist. And the reflection I had on this one was there's a saying that what you resist persists, and I've kind of been associating fighting with like a resistance and the resistance against what is happening in Palestine and other places. And there's a saying that what you resist persists, and I really don't want this stuff to persist. I'm taking action to try and be a part of the change that I'd like to see. And for those of you that follow me on LinkedIn and Instagram, I have started mailing out the first of the dolls. I've done 3, and I'm hoping that people across the country will join me in mailing shrouded dolls to our leaders to express our dissatisfaction with the genocide of children. If I'm not popular because of that, that's fine, because I need people that align with my values. Okay, so that was the Pokemon card of the day. I don't have any questions in the chat. So when we don't, I'm going to ask a question because I've had one of my friends step out on faith and they quit their job and are doing what they love. So that's a great question. When do I know it's time to step out on faith? Let's explore that. And the first card we get is Mimikyu. Mimikyu is like Bizarro Pikachu. It's a water type Pokemon card, and water short circuits electricity. It looks like a really deranged rabbit cat with the same kind of lightning bolt tail, but its mouth is like jagged. It just looks wrong. And it's in this dark crystal kind of forest, and it's just hanging out there. And I'm not quite sure yet what that would mean to me. Honestly, maybe it just feels wrong and you're in an uncomfortable situation. Q, I believe, mimics other things. Hey, consultant, does Mimikyu mimic other species? Mimikyu does not mimic other species. It only mimics Pikachu. Okay, cool. That's good to know. So I'm getting this idea of a duality between the person that we are and the person that we want to be, and trying to live up to that gap, but something is very wrong in this process. It could also be, maybe for me, being in surroundings that maybe make you feel like a Bizarro version of yourself. And that might be a hint that it's time to change or break out of your situation and go a different route. This card, it just feels wrong. So what's happening might be things just feel wrong. And that could be a sign. But what's the challenge with that? And haha, we get the lightning energy Pokemon. And again, Mimikyu is trying to mimic Pikachu. And again, it's a water Pokemon card. Pikachu is an electric Pokemon card. And water and electricity short each other out words. They short each other out. So perhaps this card is more about, is what you're doing now making you feel empowered, or is it making you, well, is it bringing you joy? To the short answer, is it bringing you joy? Is it something that's empowering you? And these two just seem diametrically opposed. So if they are diametrically opposed, your current life and what you want, and if you're feeling joy and feeling empowered, that could be a sign that it's time to make that change and step out on faith. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job to, I don't know, to join the circus, but I mean, it could, maybe it's time for a new job, switching your position, leaving. There could be so many other things. A relationship. I mean, there's so many things that can be about change. And what can help us? And we get the Gardevoir Spirit Link. I really like this card. It's super pretty. It's an item, and I think this is about connecting with your intuition. So this looks like a green, oh, what's the word? A green, like floating fairy type figure. And she has like this pinky floating ethereal dress and like a fuchsia bow tie kind of thing on the front of her dress. And it has two swirling glowing lights that are connected by a link. And it's just really beautiful. And that's what comes to mind for me, is taking the time to tap into your intuition and exploring, sitting with yourself about that to see if that really is the right move for you. It's tapping into your higher self or your subconscious, just taking a moment to reflect about where you are and where do you want to be. Is the noise, like, is this thought to change noise, or is it like the real deal? Example, if you are in a situation and every time you change, it's not, here's what I'm trying to say. If you're in a situation, but the situation isn't the problem, it's patterns, your actions, your mindset, that's the problem. Changing to a different thing, it will find you again. So is it a case that it's time for you to go, or is this a case of something that you resist is persisting because you are not dealing with and just trying to run away in this particular situation? So for example, I was burnt out and I got a different role and everything was fine at first, but my patterns and habits continued. And within a couple months, I was burnt out again because I did not address that root behavior. So I think tapping into if you don't believe in a higher self, just making time to be quiet without distractions, without your phone, without all the things that take us out of being fully embodied and present with ourselves, and asking yourself these questions and maybe journaling or taking a listen as to what response do you get? What response do you get in your head? What response from your heart? And what response do you get from your guts? When you're in that situation, what do you notice about your body? Sometimes you are tense and you don't even realize it. Like maybe you realize you haven't taken a deep breath in quite some time and there's all this tension. Kind of notice, is it different when you leave versus when you arrive? Same thing, even if it's a relationship and not necessarily a career thing. So it's tapping into your executive functioning, your consciousness, the part of you that your intuition, the part of you that has lived long enough to give you good hunches about a situation. And I think I need a sip of water. Hang on. I made it too hot today because I'm eating it like hot lava water. Okay, so then finally, if you think maybe it is time to go, you've tuned in and tapped in, that is just a card holder. What's a possible step you can take? Whether it be to explore what are my options, or is it really time for me to go? You get Gumi. This is a cute little, I don't know, it looks like a baby, it looks something tiny. I believe it's a dragon type Pokemon. It is a little round head with little ears and a dot for an eye. And I can't tell if these are leaves or if it's hands, but it kind of looks like it's going, oh my, and there's leaves all around it. And yeah, I think it's a dragon type Pokemon because it can melt things. The words on it, their horns are powerful sensors. Okay, so it has two little horns and then ears. Their horns are powerful sensors. As soon as Gumi pick up any sign of enemies, they go into hiding. This is how they survive. This might mean that maybe you're not ready to make this change. Maybe you're not ready to tackle and make a difference, or not make a difference, but maybe you're not ready for this if it's like the first thing is to run and hide. I would explore more. Well, what are we in hiding from? And you get Sandygast. Sandygast is I can't tell if this is firefighting. Sandygast is a fighting type Pokemon. It looks like a pile of sand and it has a big, large, gaping maw and eyes. It's pretty disturbing, actually. And it makes a sand tomb. So, like, maybe if you run and hide, you're going to stay there and it's really not a healthy place. It takes control of anyone who puts a hand in its mouth. And so it adds to the accumulation of its sand mound body. That is not a good place to be. I think Gumi might need to, if it's hiding, it's maybe to find some space to think about some things, because I don't know, staying there doesn't look like, in this particular thing, I'm not getting a good vibe at. So in my own life, it is probably time for me to do something different, but I'm not there yet. I'm more in Gumi mode, ready to run and hide and duck in the sand, melt away. But it is a dragon type Pokemon, so finding that inner fire, yeah, really funny. I think this is a hilarious result about, is it time to make that change? I mean, we begin with this Mimikyu card that looks like it's just wrong, and then we're ending with the Sandygast. So it's just, yeah, that was a fun one. I think it probably is time for whoever got that one, or if that resonates with you, it probably is time to move on, because staying is just a giant sucking of nothingness there. So that's what I would recommend on that one. But I mean, that's up to you. Yay! You made it! Awesome! Perkins here. That's so awesome. So happy to see you. We just talked about, is it time to take a leap of faith and move out? And it was kind of mixed. Mimikyu, which is just wrong. And then we got Gumi to hide, and the Sandy Gast is just sucking the life out of everything. So welcome, welcome. Do you have any questions? I know, and no pressure if you don't have questions. That's okay. I will just do the Tigro, but that seems to strike a lot of things, and we'll see what kind of recurring themes we have. So we started out with fighting again. I even got the fighting for my patrons this morning. So we're a feisty bunch today. So let's look at some general topics that may or may not resonate with. Great to see you. And speaking of fighting, well, we get a fire Pokemon, and this is Incineroar, which is, I think, the evolution of Torracat. Yeah. I don't know if it's the final stage, but this is a very powerful bipedal cat and it is shooting fire from its belt. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. When you think of questions, if you think of questions, that's fine. Just, questions that, or what you can react to the cards. So this Pokemon has a violent, selfish disposition. If it's not to listen, it will ignore its trainer's orders with complete nonchalance. I'm pretty sure we have some Incineroars in our life, and sometimes you could be the one that doesn't want to listen. I'm not to that level, but I know I interrupt people, and I'm definitely working on it. So I've been practicing on responding, not reacting. But perhaps you have an Incineroar in your life. We did have a question yesterday about how do you work with people that don't want to cooperate? How do we deal with selfish people? And that is a judgment, you know. But this person or this Pokemon definitely looks pretty aggressive and not pleasant to be around. So if you have one of these people in your life, what can happen? What can you do? Because I definitely wouldn't want to be incinerated by all this fire. But that's funny. Yeah, if we have some of those people in our lives. And so the challenge, we have the Urn of Vitality. So this is an urn, and looks like it's made out of stone, and it's on like a glowing kind of a fire base, which kind of ties into Incineroar also being a fire Pokemon card. So I think the challenge is, does this does this help to fill us up with vitality dealing with these kind of people? I mean, maybe you're somebody that just loves to fight and spar and yes, fired up, ready to go down. But does that also help this other person? Why are they like this? And I don't know, like I always try and maybe I'm what is it, ruinously empathetic, but I always try and find or figure out how a person gets to this point. And it doesn't mean to excuse or accept their behavior, but I think it's good to understand these types and understand where it could be in ourselves, because it's something that's not very vital, I think, to be selfish, just setting fire to everything. I mean, that's kind of what's happening in the world right now. We have selfish places that are all about, to me, money and greed, and that's definitely sapping people of their vitality. So it's not a good situation and to be around these people. So what could possibly help that situation? And we get the water energy Pokemon card. This is a blue card with a blue water droplet that looks like a comet. There's a black water droplet. Sorry, it's a blue glow and a black water droplet in there. And to me, water can douse the fire. And I think that ties into this idea of poking beneath the surface. It's kind of like dealing with a bully. Sometimes you just need to confront them or treat them. I mean, even not doing a good job of treating you like a human being, but looking into their humanity and try and understand what is happening. Like, even sometimes people that are legit trolling me, my kids sometimes like, could you have been more curious or investigated this and understand this correctly? And I don't think my kid's trying to gaslight me. Um, so with these people, it might be take a deeper dive into the surface, and maybe if you work with an Incineroar, it's kind of understanding their motivations. A lot of times when people feel comfortable or confident in themselves, they unfortunately taking out on other people because they want to feel like they're the best. My nephew honestly had this really, I think it's a powerful insight about super competitive people. And he said that their default hypothesis is that they're better than everyone else. And so when other people perform better, it attacks their sense of self worth because they think they should be the best. And that kind of makes them very competitive in like a toxically competitive way. So that's just something to think about with these Incineroars. Are they lacking an area of confidence or skill? So their response is to flare up because they don't want to look small. They don't look like they're not competent. And maybe that's an opportunity to help guide them to different communication styles. Some of this is called managing up, or again, if it's maybe someone in your family, it could be modeling different behavior, but it's thing thing. It's de-escalating a situation. How can we de-escalate a situation? And the color blue is also associated with the throat chakra in some traditions. So it might be speaking up for yourself. It might be setting boundaries. If somebody talks to you a certain way, it might be, hey, I don't know what's going on with you. I don't know, can you share more about what you're feeling because you're yelling at me, or your words are really unkind? You can try, giving 8 feedback. When you say these things, I don't feel safe, and I prefer maybe circle back to this conversation or something like that. If someone is incinerating you, if it's the external person, but if this is you, you are maybe feeling kind of selfish or acting kind of selfish. It could be exploring why you're in this space and what has happened to put up your defenses, to dig deeper into that and reflect on the actions that you're taking and what kind of impact you're having. Are you getting the results that you want? And finally, what's wow, we're just not giving up today. The Pokemon are just like, nah, we're not playing today. So we have Houndour. Houndour is a dark energy Pokemon, and it is snapping. It absolutely does not look happy. Dark energy is about the systems and underlying things we don't see but shape and impact our life. Um, so I guess if you're confronted with a snapping dog around dawn, its ominous howl echoes through the area to announce that this is its territory. So this kind of comes more across as to some of the motivation, because we have this Incineroar and then we get this Houndour. I'm getting an idea of the bark being worse than the bite, but this one looks like it will bite you. I'm not getting a good from this one. So, but I think that also ties into looking beneath the surface of this yapping dog. So this dog is the Houndour is defending its territory. So maybe if you're getting some Incineroars in your life, have you perhaps, and again, not your fault, but do you, when you look at the situation, are you perhaps involved in someone that thinks you're a threat because you're really talented and they think you can usurp them, so they're just coming in fangs bared and teeth gnashing. So what can we do with this houndor? And or I mean, maybe we don't want to soothe them because that could be learned trauma response. So maybe we just need to get ourselves safe. What would you do if you encountered an angry dog? I mean, the first thing is we're not supposed to show fear. We sense your fear and pick up on it. So, and the same thing with Incineroar. So all these things are trying to intimidate us. So again, understanding that situation, I think, is vital. So before we go forward again, so what needs to shift is maybe how we look at the situation and keeping our safety from a safe space. Then we get the lightning energy Pokemon card. It's a yellow card with a glowing yellow sphere, and it has a black lightning bolt. So when we're dealing with that, I get this idea of things that bring me joy and also things that empower me. So when dealing with a dog, it might be stop barking. It's when the dogs are snarling, it might be you have to not show fear and also tell the dog what you want. So for dealing with understanding that this creature or person is not in a good space, but that doesn't mean that they can snap at you. So I think a good thing would be to not give up your power by giving into fear in these situations. Consider how much to speak up, and perhaps if you're not sure of what to say, then stick with the facts, stick with the things you're noticing. Again, you're not dealing with literal dogs, but I guess if you ever have a situation where a dog is snapping at you, this Pokemon card will come to mind about that. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, we got a comment. I'm trying to come up with questions. I just had that one's better for a therapist. Dang it, they're right. Okay, so let's explore that. When do I need a therapist? My kind of thing is for when you're stuck and you need a plan or a way to move forward. And sometimes that involves, you know, exploring therapy, but some people are like too afraid to do therapists too. And so, I would say trust your instincts. So, like what would get you closer to being ready to explore that, or what's the difference in that? Therapists, I think, are more, they have experience in dealing with trauma and trauma responses. If that's what you're going to therapy for, it really depends. They have more insight into human psychology, whereas coaches were more goal. I'm not a coach, I'm more of a facilitator, but more goal and task oriented. And part of that goal might be to go and see therapy. They don't necessarily have to be mutually exclusive, but let's explore. When do I think I should go into therapy? So let's look at the Pokemon card. And you have a Starly, which is a regular Pokemon. It kind of has like a long, pointy orange beak. It's pretty chill on a branch. The sun is shining down. And, it looks everything's doing good. They flock in great numbers. Through though small, they flap their wings with great power. Okay. So dwell on that what you may, reflect on that what you may. But it also kind of looks curious, like, what else is there to this? What is there more than this? And if you're feeling that kind of feeling, like what what's missing, right? What's the gap or what am I missing? And Starly usually does a bug search. So sometimes we're looking for something, but I mean, again, I don't know your personal situation, but sometimes people have disassociated from where they're not comfortable to where they don't even realize there's a problem. Hang on. And yeah, if you think I'm a big fan of trust your intuition, but let's again is explore. When do I know I need to explore therapy? And then you get the fire Pokemon card. So this is an orange card with a bright orange sphere and a fire icon. And orange has a lot of different meanings for me. This one is usually associated with like creativity and passion. It could be also like sensuality, like maybe issues with being in your body. And so we have the Starly looking for something better, and we have this fire energy Pokemon. You know, it could be exploring if you feel disconnected from your passions. This one is second one. Yeah, so this one is more about being disconnected from your passions, your creativity, that kind of energy. So if that's a challenge for you, that could be an option to explore a therapist. But I mean, hey, I did say ask me almost anything. So if you know, you can always ask it and I can say, yeah, that's probably more for a therapist or not. And then we get Monferno, which is another Pokemon card. And Monferno is a monkey that looks like it's scaling a wall. Like it looks like this weird perspective, and everything's on fire as it's very determined to come up this this pathway. Or like I said, I think it's just like a perspective of scaling a wall. And it uses ceilings and walls to launch aerial attacks. Its fiery tail is but one weapon. That doesn't seem very comfortable to me. This seems like somebody that is maybe in a fight or flight response, and I mean, Monferno's decided to fight, so we see this fire energy going on. It doesn't really. I think it just kind of depends on what comes to mind when you take a look at it. Um, but I'm getting the sense of somebody fighting for something different, fighting for their peace. Because Starly looks pretty chill out there, even though it's looking for bugs. And a possible way forward, we get Zorua. Zorua is a dark energy Pokemon. She looks like, because it is dark, I can't tell if these are ears or antlers or her hair. Looks like a fox with a purple fox with a really incredible pelt. And at she's at night. So she is like lying down in a bed of her hair at night. And that gives me a sense of reflection. It changes so it looks just like its foe, tricks it, then uses the opportunity to flee. So this is the second card that we've had today. Oh, that is your favorite? Awesome. So what are your feelings when you see Zorua talking about this idea of exploring therapy? I mean, to me, this is a dark energy Pokemon. And for me, dark energy is exploring the systems and the undercurrents. Okay, so that's her evolution. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. So when we're thinking, should we explore therapy or not? I think that would be a strong yes, because this is around, and I don't like to do yes, no's, but I think like the context of this type of energy for me is exploring the undercurrents of the systems and the outcomes you're getting. It's exploring maybe yourself. It's exploring patterns, behaviors, subconscious behaviors, things that you're not even potentially aware of. And therapy might be a good space to explore those things. So that's what I get when I'm looking at those cards. You know, they're two caps of relatively calm Pokemon, Starly and Zora. I hope I'm not butchering her name. They're pretty chill, and then they're surrounding this Monferno and the fire. So I get this sense of trying to transition to something calm, to something chill. And if we look at Zerua's literally, because it's dark energy, that what they call the shadow work. So working on the negative or the challenging aspects of yourself. But I don't want to have a negative connotation to the phrase dark. I'm looking at this as maybe the flip side of our conscious. Like again, what lies beneath? What are those systems and self-talk that's in play that maybe we're not aware of, that's impacting our behavior? And that's, I believe, absolutely something that a coach could explore. There's a lady I follow. I don't think you would know her, but for my people watching this on the replay, Alexis Mobley, she's a coach, and she has really good information on the difference between a coach and a therapist. I just know I'm not a therapist. That's not my jam. I just have fun with Pokemon and ask powerful questions, and people are like, whoa, mind blown. You really gave me things to think about. So, yeah, if you want to share what you love about Zorua, I would love to hear it. And if you still don't have any questions, do another session of Tigro and see what comes up. I'm going to get some water. It's funny, one of my friends told me they haven't even come to my lives, but they dreamed about a Pokemon card. I think's pretty funny. And if you are enjoying the series, the end of March, I'm going to be hosting my first play shop for 2024, the Clarity Play Shop, and that's around the end of March. That one is a paid event, but if you like what you see and you want to explore how to do this for yourself, then I highly recommend that one. All right, continuing on. Wow, I need some more water. We're going to do another Tigro. And again, if any questions pop up, feel free to ask them in the chat. And we're going to start off with Pinsir. Pinsir, a grass, probably grass bug type Pokemon. It looks like Nightmare Fuel, quite frankly. It looks like, when they zoom in on like headlights or something like that, but it has like horns. It has white horns. It's kind of a brown coppery color, and it has very spindly segmented arms with pincers, and it's very aggressive. It looks like it's going to ram somebody. So not a fun. We're getting very aggressive Pokemon characters. One solid blow from its horns is enough to split apart a large tree. Its greatest rival is the Vikavolt. So we have some very assertive Pokemon here. And this is in the grass type Pokemon. So this is, to me, this is about being grounded and being in nature. And again, even though this thing looks like Nightmare Fuel, it also has these chomping teeth on its mouth. The mouth is vertical instead of horizontal, and it has very angry eyes. So I don't know if this is, maybe you have a Pinsir life. you have someone or a situation that's very aggressive, and you're not feeling safe, or you're not feeling the love. That could be something to explore. So tell us more about what's going on with Pinsir. So topic of maybe not feeling safe or in danger or out of control or attacked. And whoo, we get a dark energy Pokemon again. Again, this is a navy blue Pokemon card with a glowing blue sphere and a black crescent. And again, I guess this is for today. What are the undercurrents? What are the things that we don't see that are impacting our lives? What are the unknown unknowns? The things that you don't know that are impacting your life. Like for me today, in my personal journalings, I've gotten insights about playing the victim every day. So it's probably a lesson I need to continue learning. And even something as simple as the cat jumps on the bed and I'm so affronted, like, oh, the cat, she doesn't want me to sleep. So it's like, woe is me, poor me. And I like, why am I jumping to that conclusion? The cat is just an animal, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she does not sit there and plot, how can I destroy my mistress's life today? I don't think that's what the cat is doing. The cat is. So it's this idea of exploring maybe the situations in our lives where we're feeling threatened, or that something's coming after us, or that turns us into a rage monster. I mean, just looking at this card makes me tense. And are we getting the outcomes that we want? So it's possible to be more present. That could be a potential goal. Being more present and paying attention to these these kind of rippy, rip of people feelings or sensations. And so where are we in the situation? Like how realistic is that? And once again, we get the fighting energy Pokemon card. And for this week, when I see fighting, I'm just thinking of resistance. And this is a glowing black sphere with a orange fist, and there's like a magma lava reaction behind it. And when I tie this back to the dark energy Pokemon card, it is thinking about what are the perhaps that we're not ready to confront. Like here it is. Here is issue, challenge, personal thing that's like, hey, I'm here. I want to roll. Are you going to deal with me? And you're like, I'd rather not. And perhaps that is something that we need to deal with, because that resistance it kind of feels like that resistance is what allows us to have power over us. So how close are we, or how ready are we to close that gap and to take this on, to be aware of it, to be able to make a change? And we get Dialga. Dialga is a steel type Pokemon. It looks like I don't know, like a dragon dog. I'm not always the best at describing these. It definitely has four legs and kind of like a doggy tail, but is in armor. It has or a cat even. It has glowing red eyes, and it's just fully armored to the gild. Um, and it has the power to control time. It appears in Sinnoh region myth and ancient deity. So, something this powerful to me gives me the idea to believe that, yeah, if you want to tap into your inner power, the agency that you have about your thoughts, because we're talking about the things that we're not seeing, then I think Dialga is a great card to pull. And it's reminding ourselves that we determine to some extent what meaning there is in our life. And with that, then we can explore these situations. One of the things that I think stresses out a lot of people is they keep saying, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And that can almost become your reality. I've tried to counter that by saying, I have enough time to accomplish all the things that are important to me. I learned that from a guy named Dr. Dream and his magical singing bowls. And that's where I got my singing bowl from. But it was when I tried to have that mindset, I definitely was less stressed, and it definitely helped me to prioritize the things that were important to me. And so I made time for that. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to get everything done, but I generally don't stress that much about time anymore because I've paid attention to the story I'm telling myself about time and this idea that we're supposed to be productive 24/7, which is not sustainable. Even if you have a Porsche, if you drive that 24/7, it's going to end up in the garage. So I think it's important to go ahead and delve into these things, even though they might be scary. So, what can help us with that? What's a way forward? And we get the Psychic Energy Pokemon card. This is a purple card with a glowing purple sphere and a black eye icon. And like, this is just telling us to tap into our intuition, um, understanding the problem. Where I work, the first thing we need to do is what is the problem that we're trying to solve? What is the big, bad, ugly that is famous? And is it really as big, bad, and ugly as we think? Or is it perhaps just somebody putting on a front, baring their teeth, putting on an act to, again, make themselves appear more important or bigger? We've kind of seen this with Incineroar and some of the earlier readings that we're talking about, and this idea of resistance. So, what could help in this particular situation is again being quiet, making that time for yourself. Even when we're talking about should I jump off the cliff and do something new, follow my dreams, or something like that, it's this idea of how much time we have in the world. And when you don't think you have as much time, you're more likely to take risks or pressure yourself if you do. So I think how you think about determines the mindset. And again, that is tapping into your intuition. I just held up the Psychic Energy Pokemon card about that situation to take step forward. So the first step of awareness is, first step is admitting that maybe you have a problem. Because if you don't have a problem, then there's nothing to say. Have you ever tried to deal with the Incineroars where you try and provide somebody feedback and they're not open to feedback because they're not willing to do that work? They would rather go on in blissful ignorance, impacting other people because it doesn't bother them at the moment. But I feel sorry for those people that really don't see that there is a need to change. And we can't force people to change, but we can maybe ask questions or again engage them with curiosity so they might consider, maybe I should do something different. I'm not liking the outcomes that I'm getting. Definitely need some water. Hang on. Okay, no questions yet, which is still fine. Thank you for your indulgence with the water. Now we'll just go with a way forward. Let's say somebody's decided, yes, I want to move forward. I want to do something different. It's time to change. It's time for me to start therapy. It's time for me to start dating. It's time for me to change my job. Whatever you think it's time for you to do. But I'm scared and I don't want to go forward. What can help us with that? So we get the Tower of Darkness. Ah! This is I think it's like a 5-story pagoda with ramps on either side, and at the top is Urshifu, which is a bear. Now, in this game, this is a training stadium where it's designed for one particular Pokemon, and you're going to go through obstacles and trainers to reach the pinnacle. Excuse me. These lives, this is day 20, and they do take a toll. And I can't believe I've been doing this for so long and didn't see some of the connections between the Tower card in Pokemon, in sorry, in an actual tarot. So in actual tarot, the Tower card is when things fall apart, things are crumbling, jumping from the sky, it's chaos and destruction. But it means it's time to shake things up. So if you're somebody that's been on the fence and considering, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? That's a strong indication to consider where in your life you want to shake things up, and or where in your life do you feel is falling apart, and what can you do to build to pick up the pieces, right? When things fall apart, we put them back together. They're not always irrevocably broken. And what else also comes to mind, and I can never remember it, it is a Japanese art of repairing cracks with gold, and I cannot think of the name of it right now. But if you look it up, just I think if you Google just Japanese cracks gold, you'll see the name of this philosophy. So it is this idea of embracing the beauty of the cracks and gilding them with gold to kind of show what is beautiful about bringing it and piecing it back together, kind of like the literal beauty of healing an object or a situation. So I don't I don't fear the Tower cards. I don't fear things falling apart because it's an opportunity to put them back together again. And so what can be challenging about that? And here we have Cosmoem. Cosmoem is like a orb, like a star orb in this, it looks like a six, like a six-fingered claw container that holds it. And there's a little antenna or thorn on it. And Cosmoem is next to a little girl. I think it's their trainer, but Cosmoem is a protective Pokemon. It's a psychic energy Pokemon. So after things fall apart, I think the challenge is trusting yourself again. It's trusting yourself after all these things have happened. Maybe we try to blame ourselves. So as it absorbs light, Cosmoem continues to grow. Its golden shell is surprisingly solid. So after these things fall apart, it might be just, taking a moment to rest and restore, find the things that renew you, and again, tapping into your subconscious about what do you know to be true. And there's a difference when something is true, you just feel it in your bones. Almost nothing can convince you otherwise. You know when you're going for that job, it really is yours. There's no doubt, there's no hesitation. um, Granted, I feel that way sometimes about winning things, but that's not the end of the world. But it's tapping into that kind of feeling to have confidence to build yourself back up again after things fall apart. And so what can help us in that situation, or where's an area of opportunity to shift? And this one we get Fomantis. This is a grass energy Pokemon. It is like a green spider with red eyes and two sharp, jabby, spiky legs. It's on the forest floor. And green for me is about the heart and healing. They give a sweet and refreshing scent. Cutify often gathers near the tall grass where Fomantis is hiding. And sometimes after the world falls apart, it is an opportunity to reflect, to go into our quiet place, not get caught in the web of despair, and re-energize, get grounded, get back in connection with nature. It's practicing self-love and compassion about what has happened, about your situation and other people. in that situation? How can you best practice love from an agape place, from the highest level, especially if when things fall apart, it's impacting other people. So that's the vibe I'm getting from this one. That resonates, just let me know in the comments. And then what's the way forward? So everything's fallen apart. We're recharging. Um, we have the sense of safety out there, like just thinking that there's somebody looking out for me, whether it be what I believe in or just your belief in your own self and potential and capability to rebuild. Close it out with the water energy Pokemon. This is a blue card with a glowing blue sphere and a black water droplet. And blue is speaking. It is about, for me, water is looking for the surface if you're drowning and coming up again. So if you've ever watched a show where maybe someone's fallen below the water and they're looking to the light of the surface to come back again. So after things fall apart and you've gone deep, it's also looking for the light to emerge and to take your time, because from this particular vantage point of where the glowing light is in relation to the sphere, have a way to go to get back up to the surface. But it's like a quiet place. I also just get a sense, because the water droplet always looks like a eyeball or a tadpole. So I also get a sense of something new, the start of something new, even though it's not a seed, one drop, and it builds momentum to eventually become the rain. So that's the vibe I get when things fall apart, how you can come back from it. And a lot of it is how you want to look at that situation. Your mindset plays a big role. All right, we're almost at the end of today's session. Let's just take a moment to decompress and maybe reflect on what was discussed today. So just take a deep breath in and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. So the things we discussed today are about getting outside of our comfort zone, knowing when it's maybe time to take a leap, or if you're not ready to take the leap, exploring a leap into something new. I'd love to hear your comments or feedback, what resonated with you, what you're like, yes, I'm going to go forward. So please share in the comments or just let me know how things are going. Tomorrow's session is going to be at 6:30, and then Thursdays is 8 o'clock at night. So I'm probably going to need some coffee for that one. But tomorrow's is at 6:30. I want to thank my buddy Perkins for hanging out with me on today's live. Give yourself a round of applause. And I will see you all tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Actually a different time, because I just said it was 6:30. So see, just saying things randomly, that's something I'm going to work on. Being fully present as to what's coming out of my mouth. I look forward to growing tomorrow, and I'm so happy. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have you. Fantastic evening. Be well, my friend.